Hello students, today we will discuss our next part, that is part 2 on understanding Ambedkar. Part 2 contains Ambedkar's idea on citizenship and democracy. So here we will discuss Ambedkar's view on democracy in English first and in Hindi in later video. Now see, Ambedkar believed democracy as the most accepted form of government. Okay, he had a blind faith in democracy and democratic values, norms and institutions, right? Now what he meant by democracy, see, he said that no, democracy is a form and method of government where revolutionary changes in the economic and social life of the people are brought, okay, without any bloodshed. So why he trusts democracy? Because democracy is something where people and the need of people are fulfilled in a very amicable way, and without having any bloodshed, without having any revolution and so on and so forth. And why is this so? Because democracy simply does not mean slavery. Democracy does not mean higher and lower. Democracy simply deny discrimination based on, say, caste, religion and gender, okay, language, region and so on and so forth. In that sense, democracy is always inclusive in nature and not exclusive. Okay, so for why he believed in democracy? Because of the inclusiveness of democracy. That is what Ambedkar idea on democracy is all about. Now see, what next if we talk about, Ambedkar believed that the perpetual role of one particular class or caste of a political party, or the monopoly of means of production, okay, in a very few hands, the limitations over civil liberties or civil rights, simply and also the blind faith in any leader, fear of oppression and atmosphere of fear, okay, fear of oppression. Somebody can feel that he or she may be oppressed in this society, and the atmosphere of fear means a kind of fear based on caste, based on religion, based on region, based on language and so on and so forth. So all these, misuse of political authority and so on and so forth, all these practices only weaken democracy, and this is not a true democracy according to Ambedkar. This was his idea, and he simply conscious us to avoid such things to have a healthy democracy. Now see, if we see the basic characteristics of democracy, then we find that democracy is a way of life according to Ambedkar. Ambedkar treat democracy to be as a way of life. He also regarded the democratic principles of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness should be the essentials of human life. It means he wants democracy to deliver and to ensure rights of every individual, liberty of every individual, equality among every individual, and the goal of every individual should be the pursuit of happiness, and democracy should help these individuals in their way to achieve their goals. So now he was very optimistic about democracy. Not only this, in the civil rights, he also believed in human rights, and he says that without human rights we cannot have a good or a strong democracy anywhere in the world. Now, what is the role of individual and society as far as democracy is concerned? He said that individual, if individual is democratic, to be very precise, if individual is democratic, then if all individuals rather are democratic, then the government would be democratic. Quite clear, there is no doubt about it. If any individual know the value of democracy, if any individual know the norms and practices and the value of institutions of democracy or democratic institutions, then the government will be democratic, and government will always do good, will produce good, will deliver good if the citizens are democratic. And if citizens are not democratic, then the reverse you can expect from the government, or you may expect. The government may avoid a large section of the population, or the government simply become loyal to very few people if individuals are not democratic. So his entire emphasis on individual to be democratic. One. Second, if individual is democratic, obviously the society would be democratic. If society is democratic, government would be democratic. If society is not democratic, then the government will not deliver anything which society expect from it. And if society is democratic, government will be bound to deliver what society is demanding. Okay, so we have to be democratic. This was his idea on democracy. Otherwise, there would be you can say injustice, there would be denial of rights, there would be inequality, practice of inequality, and there would be injustices in the name of religion, caste, region, language, gender, and so on and so forth. So here he wants society to be democratic. Okay. Now see, if we go a bit closer to his idea, that he says that a government for there is a famous definition by Abraham Lincoln, that government democracy is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Here what Ambedkar is saying, that government democracy should be government for the people, and we can have democracy without of the people and by the people, but government should always be for the people, okay, and not for the few. Okay, it was his idea. Now few maybe some capitalist class or some political elites and so on and so forth. Now see, he says that government for the people is only possible when the attitude of each individual is democratic. That means each individual is prepared to treat every other individual as his equal, and is supposed to give him the same liberty, the same rights, the same justice, the same respect, and so on and so forth, which he claims for himself. It means that there would not be any kind of discrimination based on caste, based on religion, based on say language, based on region, and so on and so forth. Here Ambedkar's entire focus is on individual, and not the religion of individual, and not the caste of individual, and not the language or region and so on and so forth of individual. His focus is on individual, whosoever he or she is. And if any individual believe in all these things, then they can have a true democracy. Okay. Now this democratic attitude of mind is the result of socialization of individual, according to Ambedkar. Socialization of individual, because individual is democratic, and that is why this socialization of individual leads to democratic society. Therefore, democratic society has certain principles and certain types according to Ambedkar. What are they? So if we discuss types of democracy by Ambedkar, or say characteristics of democracy by Ambedkar, so Ambedkar says there are three categories or three types of democracy. Number one, political democracy. Number two, social democracy. And number three, economic democracy. And his focus is more on social and economic democracy. Now, if we talk about political democracy of Ambedkar, Ambedkar located the political power in the people thinking. Okay, why? To have a social progress. Okay, we think to have our own progress. If society thinks, it means the society wants progress. Okay, so his idea of political power lies in the fact that people thinking of that it is all whatever they are thinking is likely to be social for social progress. According to him, the soul of democracy is the doctrine of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. That is what political democracy means. It means political democracy may bring social progress, okay, and political democracy means one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. There is no high person, there is no lower person, there is no one who is superior, there is no one who is inferior here. There is no one who is richer or rich or richest, there is no one who is poor, and so on and so forth. So according to Ambedkar, democracy gave this one man, one vote principle gave democracy a strong hold to consider all individual to be same in the eyes of, say, state or democratic norms. Now, what are the premises of this principle where he says that democracy is one man, one vote? There are four types of premises. Number one, the individual is an end in it himself or herself. Number two, individual has certain rights which must be guaranteed to him or her by the Constitution. Number three, the individual shall not be required to relinquish any of his constitutional rights as a condition to the recipient of a privilege. Number four, the state shall not delegate power to private person to govern others. So these are four principles of political democracy according to Ambedkar as far as one man, one vote, one value is concerned. Second is social democracy. Now Dr. Ambedkar viewed social democracy as a means or as a way of life. Okay, this social democracy recognizes liberty, equality, fraternity, these three things as principle of life. Simply, these three things defines the principle of life. Democracy, according to Ambedkar, is more than the form of government. More than the form of government. It is the form of the organization of society. Democracy. There are two essential conditions which characterizes a democratically constituted society. Number one, the absence of stratification of society into, say in India, 4 castes or anywhere in various racial groups and so on and so forth. So there must not be any social stratification, a complete absence of social stratification, number one. Number two, the social habit on the part of individual and groups which is ready for continuous readjustment of recognition of reciprocity of interests. This is his second point. Now, if we go beyond this, we find that Ambedkar, as I said earlier, regarded democracy as a way of life, more than the way of life. Why? Because it includes rational empiricism. Okay, it emphasizes on individual, the democracy. It is the instrumental nature of the state, democracy, and law behind the law, again democracy. Nobility of means, discussion and consent, absence of perpetual rule, and basic equality in all human relations. Therefore, he put emphasis on equality and fraternity, okay, in all sphere of life. Why? Because he realizes that isolation and exclusiveness following upon class structure or caste structure is a anti-social spirit, okay, and there must not be any privileged section or any privileged community in any society. That is why he believed in liberty and fraternity. So he denounced the sanctity of the class structure of the society, caste structure of society, religious structure of society, gender structure of the society. Why? Because they are all a danger to democracy, danger to democratic norms, danger to democratic principles, danger to democratic values. So he denounced all these things. Now, economic democracy, that is last part. Economic democracy means the economic need of people are to be satisfied. That is why, now what does that mean? No person should die because of hunger. Ambedkar is saying this, that people should have the right to food and no person should die because of hunger. If political democracy is one man, one vote, or one vote, one value, then the principle of graded inequality has been carried out in the economic field. Ambedkar is saying this, that in political arena we are trying to make a kind of equality, and in economic arena or an economic sphere of our life we are actually practicing inequality, any society. So he put emphasis on the economic equality among all citizens, among all individuals, to have to progress, obviously, socially and politically and economically and so on and so forth. Now he gave a quotation from socialism. What is that? From each according to his ability and to each according to his needs. This was the principle of socialism. Here he is saying that Hinduism or Hindu social order advocate the principle from each according to his need and to each according to his nobility. Now here what is the question? The downtrodden section of the society are automatically out of it because they may have need, but in this four varna system, in this four caste system, nobility is always found among upper caste, maybe to be very precise, Brahmins. Okay, so here the principle of socialism does not apply. He says that the democratic order must minimize the glaring inequalities in the society. In democratic society, there must be neither an oppressed class nor an oppressor caste or class. That society should be free from one oppressor and two oppressed. Then only we can have a true meaning of democracy in India, at least. So he denounced the monopoly of upper caste and wants Dalit to empower themselves. He fought for their emancipation. He says that a state should be given political power for the regulation and control of both industries and agriculture, and not the private enterprises or private actors. In that sense, he comes very close to the idea of socialism, where he says that a state should be given to control economic life of society, say for example through industries or through agriculture, and all these things should be in the hands of state and not in the hands of private players. Okay, because the ultimate aim of a state is the welfare of the society and people, but private actor to earn profit. That is the basic difference, he says. Now, he was aware of the fact that capitalism makes democracy meaningless, and it cannot simply protect the freedom of and the freedom and rights, liberty of any individual. Okay, rather it violate all these things, or it may it may practice inequality and so on and so forth. Therefore, he advocated the establishment of state socialism as far as economic democracy is concerned, and suggested certain points which a state must follow. Number one, that insurance shall be a monopoly of the state. Number two, agriculture shall be a state industry. Number three, land will belong to the state and shall be let out to the villagers without distinction of caste or creed. Number four, there will be no landlord, no tenant, and landless laborers. There should be none. Number fifth, rapid industrialization of economy under the complete supervision and control of the state should be initiated. Why? To have economic democracy. Why? To have or rather to have unexploited nature of economic life of every individual, to have economic, or at least to meet economic equality, so that every individual can achieve desired goals. Every individual should have a say in economic life, and every individual must be given a chance to fulfill his or her needs and desire. So, to each according to his need, and to each from each according to his ability, and to each according to his needs, only will have its meaning if a state follow all these suggestions which Ambedkar is trying to give. See, there are farmers. If any government is considering the case of farmers, then we must praise that government. And if any government, and I am saying any government, is not thinking about farmers, we must question the government. That is what Ambedkar is also saying. Okay, although we have simply failed to achieve what Ambedkar has proposed, and we personally wish, or we must wish, that all these four principles which Ambedkar is trying to give, a state should adopt all these things. Then we will have an ideal society where everyone will have a say in economic life of state, and our state will prosper gradually, if not rapidly, gradually. That idea has never been implemented in India, and that ideas should at least be considered to have a healthy economic life. So these are all the ideas of Ambedkar. Now in our next section we will discuss challenges of democracy in India by Ambedkar, number 1. Number 2, we will discuss conditions of successful democracy in India, obviously by Ambedkar. And number 3 and last, that would be we will discuss necessary elements for the maintenance of democracy. These points we will discuss in our next video. Okay, thank you very much.